The council chamber was massive. It stretched up so high that the ceiling disappeared into shadows. 73 different species sat in their special seats, each designed for their unique bodies. Some needed water tanks. Others floated in zero-gravity bubbles. A few were just clouds of gas held together by energy fields. The humans sat in a small corner. They had occupied the same seats for 42 years. Their section was plain compared to the others. Just simple chairs and a table. No special requirements. No fancy technology. Just humans being humans. Taemin Kim stood up slowly. He was 58 years old and had been the human ambassador for 15 years. His hair was turning gray at the temples. His suit was neat and clean but not expensive. He walked to the speaking platform with steady steps. The chamber didn't quiet down when he approached. The Velthorians were arguing loudly about shipping costs. They were tall, blue-skinned beings who controlled most of the trade routes. The Shardborn, who looked like living crystals, were discussing mining rights. Their voices sounded like wind chimes. The Dracos delegates, large reptilian creatures, were barely paying attention. Half of them looked asleep. Taemin cleared his throat and began speaking. His voice was calm and measured. He didn't shout to be heard over the noise. "Members of the Galactic Council," he said, "I come before you today to announce humanity's withdrawal from all Council treaties and agreements. After 42 years of participation, Earth and all human colonies will now operate independently. We thank you for the opportunity to be part of this organization. Our departure will be completed within 72 hours. He paused. Nobody seemed to care. The Velthorians kept arguing. The Shardborn continued their debate. A few species glanced at him briefly, then returned to their own conversations, only one being reacted. Councillor Thexfor, a senior Velthorian with darker blue skin and kind eyes, stood up from his seat. "Ambassador Kim, surely we can discuss this. There must be a reason for such a sudden decision." Taemin looked at him with tired eyes. "There is no anger here, Councillor. No dramatic reason. Humanity has simply decided that our path lies elsewhere. We have fulfilled all our obligations. All debts are paid. All contracts are honored. We leave peacefully." Another Velthorian, younger and louder, laughed. "Let them go, Thexfor. One less minor species to worry about. They were always too emotional anyway. Too weak for real galactic politics." A Dracos delegate opened one eye. "Good riddance. Humans always complain too much. Always talking about fairness and equality. The galaxy doesn't work that way." Taemin didn't respond to the insults. He simply bowed slightly to the council and walked back to the human section. Behind him, Commander Heejin Park was already organizing their departure. She was 45 years old with sharp eyes and military bearing. She had been a soldier before becoming head of human security on the station. "How long?" Taemin asked quietly. 60 hours, Heejin replied. "All personnel are ready. All equipment is packed. All files are deleted from the station's computers. We leave nothing behind." Dr. Jiwon Choi joined them. She was 39 years old, a brilliant scientist who had spent years sharing her research with the council. Her face showed no emotion, but her hands were clenched into fists. "My lab is cleared. All my research is secured. They won't get another idea from us." Taemin nodded. "Good, let's go home." The next 72 hours moved like clockwork. Human embassies across council space closed their doors. Every human on every station packed their belongings. Research labs were emptied but left clean. Trade offices were closed with all agreements properly terminated and all payments made in full. Other species barely noticed. A few asked questions, mostly about who would take over the humans' trade routes. Nobody seemed concerned about why they were leaving. Nobody asked if they were okay. Nobody seemed to care at all. On the final day, the last human ship prepared to leave Station Prime. It was called the Indomitable Spirit, a large transport vessel. Captain Minho Lee stood on the bridge looking at the station through the main view screen. He was a career military officer, 50 years old, with a weathered face and steady hands. "All personnel aboard?" he asked. "Yes, sir," his first officer replied. 3,247 humans. Everyone is accounted for. Minho took one last look at the station. He had served there for 10 years. He had made friends with some of the other species. He had enjoyed the diversity, the different cultures, the chance to be part of something bigger than just humanity. But it had never felt like home. It had always felt like being tolerated, not welcomed, like being the kid in class that nobody wanted on their team. He saluted the station through the view screen, a final gesture of respect. Then he gave the order, "Engage FTL drive. Take us home." The ship's engines hummed to life, space bent and twisted around them. In a flash of light, the indomitable spirit vanished from Council space. A few beings on the station watched them go. Most didn't bother. Back in the Council chamber, Councillor Thexivor sat alone in his seat long after the session ended. He remembered his first meeting with Ambassador Kim 15 years ago. The human had been young then, full of hope and enthusiasm. "Humans are patient," Kim had said that day. "We understand that the universe doesn't revolve around any single species. But we also understand that patience has limits. When we're done waiting, we move forward with purpose." At the time, Thexivor had thought it was just diplomatic talk. Now he wondered if it had been a warning. He pulled up the Council's communication logs. He composed a private message to Ambassador Kim. It was simple and honest. "I'm sorry we failed you. I'm sorry I couldn't convince the others. I hope you find what you're looking for out there." He sent the message. It bounced back immediately. All human communication channels were already closed. They were truly gone. Thexivor sat in the empty chamber, feeling a strange sense of unease. Humans were a minor species, barely worth noticing in the grand scheme of galactic politics. Their departure shouldn't matter at all. So why did it feel like something important had just ended? Why did the chamber suddenly feel emptier than it should? He couldn't answer his own questions. He stood up slowly and left the chamber. Behind him, the human seats sat empty and abandoned. The lights above them flickered once, then went dark. Nobody noticed that either. 3 months passed. The galaxy moved on. Trade continued between the species. Wars were fought over territory. Science conferences happened without human participation. It was like humans had never existed at all. The Velthorians expanded their trade routes into areas where humans used to operate. The Shardborn claimed mining rights on asteroids that humans had surveyed. The Dracos Empire pushed their borders outward into empty space. Everyone benefited from humanity's absence, or so they thought. Captain Zelthos was a Velthorian merchant who had made good money trading with human colonies. He was young for a captain, only 40 years old and ambitious. When he heard that New Terra was abandoned, he saw an opportunity. New Terra had been one of the largest human colonies, a beautiful planet with rich resources and a perfect location for trade. Now it was supposedly empty. Zelthos planned to claim it for himself, set up a trading post, and make a fortune. His ship approached the planet without any problems. The system was quiet. No ships, no signals, no activity, just as the reports had said. Empty. But as he entered orbit, something happened. His ship's sensors suddenly screamed warnings. 3 objects appeared on his screens. They weren't there a moment ago. Now they surrounded his ship in a perfect triangle formation. They were drones, small, sleek, and completely silent. They didn't match anything in the galactic database. Their design was smooth and efficient with no wasted space. They moved with precision that seemed almost alive. A voice came through his ship's communication system. It was calm and professional, human. But it wasn't a person. It was recorded. "Your vessel has entered restricted space. This area is under human jurisdiction. You have 30 seconds to alter course and leave this system. This is your only warning." Zelthos laughed. He was a merchant, but he had weapons on his ship. Good weapons, military grade. And these were just 3 small drones. He could destroy them easily. "I don't think so," he said out loud. "This planet is abandoned. It belongs to whoever claims it. And I'm claiming it." He powered up his weapons and locked onto the drones. His finger moved to the firing button. Then something impossible happened. The drones didn't attack. They didn't fire any weapons. Instead, his ship started moving backward. Not from his engines. From outside force. The drones were generating some kind of gravitational field that pushed his entire ship away from the planet. His crew panicked. The engineer shouted that the engines weren't responding. The navigator said they were being moved out of the system at high speed. Zelthos tried everything, firing his weapons, reversing his engines, sending distress signals. Nothing worked. The drones pushed his ship all the way to the edge of the system, then released it. The gravitational field vanished. His ship was intact. Not a scratch on it, not a single system damaged. But they were completely outside the system, and his crew was terrified. Zelthos checked his ship from top to bottom. Everything worked perfectly. The drones had moved them with such precision that nothing was broken. The technical skill required for that was far beyond anything the Council had. He reported what happened to the Velthorian Trade Authority. They didn't believe him at first. But then more reports came in. Other ships had tried to enter old human territory. All of them had the same experience. Warned once, then gently but firmly removed. Meanwhile, at the Galactic Science Symposium, researchers were noticing problems. Dr. Jiwon Choi had been scheduled to present her latest findings on quantum tunneling. She didn't show up. Neither did any other human scientist. A Shardborn researcher named Vexus had been working with Dr. Choi on a joint project. He went ahead with the presentation alone, but halfway through he realized something terrible. Half of the work was missing. All of Dr. Choi's contributions were gone. He tried to contact her. No response. He tried to access her research files. Locked. He tried every encryption-breaking program available. Nothing worked. The human databases were sealed behind security that was impossible to crack. Vexus wasn't the only one with this problem. Across the galaxy, scientists who had worked with humans discovered that their projects were incomplete. The humans had shared just enough to seem cooperative, but they had kept the most important parts to themselves. It hadn't been an accident. The humans had been planning their departure for years. Counselor Thexfor couldn't stop thinking about the humans. He tried to convince himself that he was just curious, but deep down he was worried. He decided to reach out privately, away from the Council's attention. He sent a probe to Earth's solar system, a small peaceful probe with a message requesting contact. It was addressed to Ambassador Taemin Kim personally, using old friendship codes that only the two of them knew. The probe never reached Earth. At the edge of the solar system, something intercepted it. A defense platform, massive and powerful, had been hiding among the asteroids of the Kuiper Belt. It activated and captured the probe without damaging it. Then it sent the probe back with a message attached. The message was from Commander Heejin Park. Thexfor remembered her as the quiet security officer who stood behind Ambassador Kim at council meetings. Now she had a new title, Admiral. Her message was polite but firm. Counselor Thexfor, your friendship is remembered and valued by all humanity. Ambassador Kim speaks highly of you even now, but humanity has chosen isolation for good reasons. We ask that you respect our decision. Do not send more probes. The next one will not be returned. With respect and regards, Admiral Heejin Park. Thexfor stared at the message for a long time. A defense platform that size, hidden so perfectly that council sensors never detected it. Drones with gravitational manipulation technology, quantum encryption that couldn't be broken. All of this in just 3 months. Either the humans had developed all this incredibly fast, or they had been building it for years while pretending to be weak. He realized something else too. The defense platform didn't just block his probe. It could have destroyed it easily, but it returned it safely with a personal message. The humans weren't being aggressive. They were being careful. They were setting boundaries. Strange reports started reaching Council intelligence. Pirate attacks along the Galactic Rim had stopped completely. The Rim had always been dangerous, full of criminals and raiders. The Council's patrol ships couldn't cover such a large area. Humans used to patrol some of those areas. After they left, everyone expected pirate activity to increase. Instead, it stopped. Pirate fleets just disappeared. No distress calls. No wreckage. Just gone. Dracos warlords reported the same thing. Their raid fleets would enter certain sectors and vanish. The sectors matched old human patrol routes exactly. One Dracos warlord named Kresh was braver or more foolish than the others. He sent a scout ship into one of those sectors with orders to report everything. The ship made it halfway through the sector before its signal cut off. When it didn't return, Kresh sent a full squad of fighters to investigate. They found the scout ship floating in space. It was intact but completely powered down. The crew was alive but unconscious. When they woke up, they had no memory of what happened. Their ship's computers had been wiped clean. The only thing left in the computer was a message. A simple text file in all galactic languages. This space is protected. Pirates are not welcome. This is your only warning. The Council finally started paying attention, not because they cared about humans, but because humans controlled valuable space. Trade routes were blocked. Resources were inaccessible. The economic impact was starting to show. A junior analyst named Min Ji-yoon had worked in the Council's Trade Commission. Nobody had paid much attention to her. She was just a human after all. But after she left, 17 major shipping lanes fell into chaos. Ships arrived at ports at the wrong times. Schedules collapsed. Costs tripled. Turns out Minji had been managing the scheduling algorithms for all those lanes. Nobody else knew how. She had been the invisible hand keeping everything running smoothly. Now she was gone and the whole system was falling apart. Thexfor brought all these issues to the council. He presented the evidence calmly. The blocked trade routes, the vanishing pirates, the impossible technology, the economic problems. We made a mistake, he said simply. We dismissed them. We called them weak. But they were never weak. They were patient. And now they're gone and we're paying the price. Most of the council still didn't care. A few were starting to worry. And somewhere, far away in the darkness of space, humanity watched and waited. 1 year after the humans left, the galaxy was struggling. Nobody wanted to admit it, but things were falling apart. Small problems at first. Delayed shipments. Confused schedules. Miscommunications between species. Then bigger problems started. Species that had traded peacefully through human intermediaries were now fighting. Old grudges surfaced. Without humans to mediate, disagreements turned into conflicts. Trade routes that humans had quietly maintained were crumbling. The shipping costs had tripled across the galaxy. Companies were going bankrupt. Colonies were running low on supplies. The galactic economy was in recession. Turns out humans had been the glue holding everything together. Not because they were powerful, but because they were everywhere doing small jobs that nobody else wanted to do. Translating, mediating, coordinating, maintaining. When they left, they took all that invisible work with them. The Draco's empire saw the chaos as an opportunity. Their military leaders thought the council was weak and distracted. Perfect time for expansion. They chose a Velthorian colony world called Kephos as their first target. Warlord Kresh commanded the invasion fleet personally. He was huge even for a Dracos, almost 3 meters tall, covered in thick scales. He had conquered 12 worlds in his lifetime. This would be number 13. His fleet of 40 warships approached Kephos expecting an easy victory. But when they arrived, they found the planet empty. The entire population had been evacuated. Buildings stood empty. Streets were deserted. It was like everyone had just vanished. Kresh was confused but not worried. An empty planet was still a planet. He could claim it and move on. He ordered his ships into orbit. That's when the humans appeared. They came out of nowhere. No warning. No sensor detection. One moment the space around Kephos was empty. The next moment it was full of ships, not large ships, small ones, fighters and drones mostly. But there were hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. They surrounded the Draco's fleet in perfect formation. Kresh ordered his weapons powered up. He wasn't afraid of human technology. In his mind, humans were still the weak species that had run away from the council. Then a voice came through on all channels. It was Admiral Hyejan Park. Draco's fleet, you are in violation of multiple territorial agreements. You have attacked a peaceful colony. Stand down immediately or you will be disabled. Kresh laughed. Disabled by you? Humans are cowards who hide behind drones. Come out and fight like warriors. As you wish, Park replied calmly. The battle lasted 7 minutes. The human drones moved faster than anything Kresh had ever seen. They dodged every shot his ships fired. Their weapons were precise and surgical. They didn't destroy his ships. They disabled them. Engine systems went offline. Weapons stopped working. Communications were jammed. Life support stayed active, but everything else shut down. 40 warships reduced to floating hulks in 7 minutes. Not a single crew member killed. Not a single ship destroyed. Kresh sat in his command chair, surrounded by dead screens and silent systems. His crew was alive but terrified. The humans had beaten them without even trying hard. A message appeared on his one working screen. Text only. Humanity does not seek conflict. We do not wish to fight you, but we will not tolerate aggression in this region of space. Your ships will be repaired and returned to Draco's space. Do not enter human-protected territory again. There will be no second warning. True to their word, human ships towed the disabled Draco's fleet to the border of their empire. Every ship was repaired enough to fly home. Crews were given food and water. Then the humans left without another word. The humiliation was complete. Kresh, the mighty warlord, had been defeated by drones, by machines controlled by the species everyone had called weak. News of the battle spread quickly. The council held an emergency session. The chamber was more crowded than it had been in months. Everyone wanted to discuss what had happened. Councillor Thexvor stood to speak. He was older now, more tired, but his voice was still strong. "We dismissed them," he said. "We called them weak, primitive, emotional. We mocked their diplomacy and ignored their contributions. But humans were never weak. They were patient. They were waiting. They were preparing, and we were too arrogant to see it." Prime Crystal Vex, the Shardborn delegate, made a sound like breaking glass. His way of laughing. "They hide behind technology. They send machines to fight their battles. They are cowards." Thexvor turned to face him directly. "Or they are intelligent enough not to waste lives on unnecessary conflict. They disabled 40 warships in minutes without killing anyone. That takes more skill than destruction, more control than rage. Think about what that means." The chamber went quiet. Thexvor continued. "For 42 years we had access to human research, human diplomacy, human labor. We took it all for granted. We thought we were superior because we were bigger, older, more established. But we gave them nothing in return. Not respect, not partnership, not even basic courtesy. Now they're gone. And look at us. Our economy is failing. Our trade routes are chaos. Our conflicts are escalating. And a Draco's fleet just learned that humanity has military technology we can't match. What happens when they decide we're a threat?" Someone asked the obvious question. "Should we be afraid of them?" Thexvor thought about it. "I don't think so. If humans wanted revenge, they would have taken it by now. They don't want to hurt us. They just want to be left alone. The question is whether we can afford to leave them alone. We need them, and they know it." After much debate, the council voted to send a diplomatic mission to Earth. They would offer new terms: full partnership, equal voting rights, technology sharing agreements. Everything they should have offered 40 years ago. Thexvor volunteered to lead the mission. He hoped his friendship with Ambassador Kim would help. He composed a personal message and sent it ahead of the diplomatic ship. The response came quickly. From Kim himself. "Old friend, I received your message with warmth, but my answer must be no. The council offers partnership now when you are desperate. Not when we needed it, not when we earned it. We do not seek revenge. We do not seek conflict. We simply seek to be left alone. I wish you well, truly, but humanity has chosen a different path. Please respect that choice." Thexvor showed the message to the council. They were shocked. How dare the humans refuse? They were offering everything. But Thexvor understood. The offer came too late. The damage was done. Humans had learned they didn't need the council's approval to thrive. They were building something new, something better, something theirs. The council decided to send the diplomatic mission anyway. Maybe seeing the humans in person would change things. Maybe they could negotiate. The diplomatic ship, named Unity, entered the solar system with all weapons powered down. They broadcast peace signals in every language. They moved slowly and carefully, showing no threat. They never made it past the Kuiper Belt. A defense station activated. It was huge, built into an asteroid, completely hidden until it powered on. The technology was beyond anything the council had. It blocked their path completely. A holographic projection appeared on Unity's bridge. Admiral Hyjin Park stood there, looking professional in a crisp military uniform. Behind her, Thexvor could see Ambassador Kim, older now but with eyes that had regained their spark. "Counselor Thexvor," Park said formally, "your delegation is not welcome in this system. We appreciate the gesture, but humanity has made its choice. Please return to council space immediately." Thexvor stood and bowed respectfully. "Admiral, Ambassador, we come in peace. We come to apologize. We come to offer everything we should have offered years ago." Kim stepped forward in the projection. "Old friend, we know why you came, but you must understand. We don't want revenge. We don't want your apologies. We simply want to live our own lives, make our own choices, build our own future. The council taught us a hard lesson, that we don't need your approval to succeed, that we're better off alone than accepted without respect. Please," Thexvor said quietly. "We need you. The galaxy needs you." Kim smiled sadly. "No, you need what we provided. Our labor, our skills, our quiet work. You never needed us as equals. That's the difference. Now please respect our choice and leave." The hologram vanished. The defense station powered up its weapons. Not threatening, just ready. The message was clear. Unity turned around and left the solar system. The Council's first diplomatic mission to humanity was a complete failure, and Thexfor knew deep in his heart that they deserved it. 2 years after humanity left, the galaxy was burning, not literally, but close enough. Small conflicts had grown into wars. The economy had crashed so badly that some species faced starvation. Pirate attacks were everywhere. The Council couldn't maintain order anymore. Species blamed each other for the problems. The Velthorians blamed the Shardborn. The Shardborn blamed the Dracos. Everyone blamed someone else. Nobody wanted to admit the truth, that they had taken humans for granted, that they had dismissed the very beings who held everything together. Then the pirates made a terrible mistake. A massive pirate confederation had formed in the chaos. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species all working together. They were led by a former Dracos military commander named Rax. He was smart, brutal, and ambitious. Rax decided to attack Station Prime itself, the Council's home. If he could take the station, he could control the entire galactic government. Demand ransoms, seize power. It was a bold plan, it almost worked. The pirate fleet hit Station Prime hard and fast. They had new weapons, advanced technology from unknown sources. The station's defense fleet responded but was quickly overwhelmed. The pirates had coordination that regular criminals shouldn't possess. Councillor Thexfor watched from the council chamber as the battle raged outside. The station's shields were failing. Defense ships were being destroyed. In minutes, the pirates would breach the hull. Thousands would die. Then suddenly every pirate ship went dark, their engines stopped, weapons powered down, life support switched to backup. All at once. All 300 pirate vessels just floated there, dead in space. Space rippled. That's the only way to describe it. Like water disturbed by something moving beneath the surface. Then human ships appeared. Not from FTL jumps. They had been there all along, invisible. These weren't the small ships that disabled Warlord Kresh's fleet. These were warships, real ones, sleek and powerful, covered in technology that made council ships look like ancient relics. They moved into formation around the station with perfect precision. The largest human ship positioned itself between the pirates and Station Prime. Thexfor recognized the name on its hull. The Resolute. Admiral Hee-Jin, Park's flagship. Her voice came through on all frequencies. Calm, professional, absolutely in control. This is Admiral Park of the Human Defense Force. We are taking control of this situation. Council vessels, stand down and pull back. We will handle this threat. The Council fleet obeyed immediately. They had seen what human technology could do. They weren't going to argue. Park broadcast another message, this one to Station Prime. We promised isolation, not abandonment. We will not let innocent beings die. Regardless of our differences with the Council, stand by. The human ships went to work. Using some kind of advanced tractor beam technology, they gathered all the disabled pirate vessels. Every single one. They towed them together into a tight group, then moved the entire cluster away from the station. The pirates couldn't do anything. Their ships were powerless. Their weapons were useless. They could only watch as humans moved them like toys. The human fleet towed all 300 pirate ships to a neutral system 3 jumps away. They deposited them there, restored enough power for life support and basic engines, then broadcast a final message. You attacked a peaceful station and endangered innocent lives. By all rights, you should be destroyed. But humanity does not seek death. This is mercy. This is your only mercy. If you engage in piracy again in Council space or human space, there will be no second chance. We will find you. And next time your ships will not be returned. Then the human fleet vanished. The same ripple effect. Cloaking technology that no sensor could detect. The entire operation took 53 minutes. The Council was saved. The pirates were neutralized without a single death. And humanity had demonstrated power that terrified every species in the galaxy. Thexfor immediately requested a meeting with Admiral Park. He expected her to refuse. Instead, she agreed, but only through hologram. Her ship stayed at the edge of the system, ready to leave at any moment. The hologram appeared in the council chamber. Admiral Park stood in her uniform, military bearing clear in every line of her posture. Beside her stood Ambassador Taemin Kim. He was 68 now, his hair completely gray. But his eyes were bright and alert. Behind them, Thexfor could see Dr. Jiwon Choi, She looked confident and accomplished. The defeated, dismissed scientist was gone. This woman had authority and respect. Thexivore stood and bowed deeply. Thank you. You saved countless lives today. You had no obligation to help us. Yet you came. Kim stepped forward. We came because it was right. Not because we owed you anything. Innocent beings were in danger. We don't ignore that, no matter our history with the Council. The entire Council was present now. Hundreds of beings watched the hologram. Thexivore spoke for all of them. We were wrong. We dismissed you. We disrespected you. We took everything you gave and offered nothing in return. We see that now. Please, Ambassador, Admiral, return to the Council. We need you. Kim's expression didn't change. You don't need us, Counselor. You need what we provided, our labor, our research, our diplomacy. You want us to return and fix your problems. But you still don't see us as equals. You see us as useful. A Shardborn delegate spoke up. We offer full partnership now. Equal voting rights. Shared technology. Everything you asked for 40 years ago. Dr. Choi stepped forward in the hologram. Her voice was sharp and clear. You offer it now. When you're desperate. When you need saving. Where was this partnership when I shared my research and had it stolen? Where was this equality when our diplomats were ignored in council sessions? Where was this respect when our soldiers died protecting council worlds and were called expendable? The chamber went silent. Nobody had an answer. Dr. Choi continued. Do you want to know why we left? It wasn't anger. It was realization. We realized we were holding ourselves back trying to fit into your society. We shared our best research hoping for collaboration. Instead, it was stolen or dismissed. We offered innovations and you called them primitive. We mediated your conflicts and you took it for granted. When we left, we didn't run away. We went home. And we built. In 2 years, we've advanced more than we did in 40 years with the Council. Do you know why? Because we stopped trying to prove ourselves to species that would never respect us. We focused on our own people, our own future, our own potential, Admiral Park added. The technology you saw today? We've had the theory for years, but we never built it while in the Council. We were too busy helping you, too busy fitting in, too busy being useful instead of being excellent. Thexivore understood now, truly understood. Humans hadn't been weak. They had been restrained, holding themselves back, trying to be acceptable instead of being exceptional. What can we offer? He asked quietly. What would it take? Kim looked at him with something like sadness. Old friend, you're still thinking in terms of transactions. What can you offer to get what you need? That's the problem. Partnership isn't a transaction. It's mutual respect, and you can't buy that. You can't negotiate for it. You either have it or you don't. The Council offers us everything now because you're desperate, not because you see our value, not because you respect us, because you need us. That's not partnership. That's exploitation with better terms. He paused, then spoke with finality. We don't want revenge. We don't want war. We simply want to be left alone. We're building something better now, something ours. We're doing it without seeking your approval, and we're thriving. We will protect this region of space because it's right. We will trade with those who treat us fairly. We will share knowledge with those who share in return. But we will not return to the Council. That chapter is closed. The hologram started to fade. Kim gave Thexivore one last look. Thank you for trying, old friend. Truly. But some mistakes can't be fixed. Some bridges once burned can't be rebuilt. We wish you well. But our future lies elsewhere now. The projection vanished. Through the view screen, Thexivore could see the human fleet preparing to leave. They moved in perfect coordination, a level of discipline and technology the Council couldn't match. Then they were gone. Vanished into whatever cloaking technology they used. The Council was left alone with their problems and their regrets. Thexivore stood in the empty chamber long after everyone else left. He thought about the young, hopeful Ambassador Kim he had met 42 years ago. The man who had believed in galactic cooperation, who had tried so hard to make it work. The Council had broken that hope, had turned it into resignation, then into determination, and finally into independence. Humanity had learned to stand alone, and standing alone they had become stronger than anyone imagined. The Council had lost something irreplaceable, and they had only themselves to blame. 5 years after the humans left, the galaxy had found a new normal. It wasn't good, but it was stable. The Council had reformed slightly.
Trade was expensive but functional.
Conflicts still erupted regularly, but they were managed. Barely. Human space had become known as the Quiet Zone, a vast region completely cut off from the rest of the galaxy. Heavy defenses, complete self-sufficiency, absolute isolation. No ship entered without permission. No communication went unanswered but also uninviting. A few species maintained trade with humans on neutral ground. The Velthorians, especially Councillor Thexfor's faction, had friendly relations. But these were bilateral agreements between equals. Not council partnerships, not charity. Real trade between real partners. The galaxy had learned to function without humans. It was harder, more expensive, and more chaotic. But it worked. Everyone assumed this was the way things would be from now on. Then the Korvax arrived. They came from deep space, beyond any explored region. A collective species. Millions of individuals sharing one mind. Their ships were enormous and powerful. Their technology was advanced. And they viewed all other species as inferior. The Korvax didn't ask for peace. They didn't negotiate. They simply attacked. World after world fell to their invasion. Their weapons used quantum energy that Council shields couldn't stop. Their ships regenerated damage almost instantly. Their tactics were perfect because they all shared one consciousness. They were unlike any enemy the galaxy had faced. The Council fought back desperately. Species that had been enemies united against the common threat. But it wasn't enough. The Korvax were too strong, too advanced, too coordinated. In 6 months, they conquered 20% of Council space. Billions died. Entire civilizations were erased. The Council was facing extinction. Councillor Thexivor, now very old and serving his final term, called an emergency session. The chamber was half empty. Many council members were dead or missing, their worlds conquered. "We need to contact the humans," he said simply. The remaining councillors objected immediately. Ask the humans for help? After everything? It would be humiliating. Thexfor looked at them with tired eyes. "Pride won't save us. The Korvax will destroy us completely. And according to our intelligence, they're planning to attack human space next. We should at least warn them." That changed the debate. If the Korvax attacked humans too, maybe they would help. Maybe shared danger would bring cooperation. The Council sent a message to human space. Not a request for help, just information. A warning. "The Korvax are coming. They will attack you next. We thought you should know." The response came quickly. From Admiral Heejin Park, message received and understood. "Humanity thanks the Council for the warning. We will prepare accordingly," that was all. No offer to help. No request for alliance. Just acknowledgement. 3 weeks passed. The Korvax continued their advance. Council forces were pushed back further every day. Hope was dying. Then reports came from the front lines. The Korvax advance had stopped. Not slowed. Stopped completely. Human ships had appeared at the border of conquered space. Not in Council territory, at the edge of what the Korvax had taken. A defensive line between the Korvax and the rest of the galaxy. The human fleet was massive. Hundreds of warships, all with technology that made even Korvax vessels look outdated. They formed a wall in space and broadcast a message. Admiral Park's voice was transmitted across all frequencies. "Korvax Collective. This is Fleet Commander Heejin Park of the Human Defense Force. You have attacked sovereign nations without provocation. You have committed genocide against peaceful species. Humanity does not seek conflict with you, but we will not tolerate this behavior in our region of space. Withdraw from all conquered territory immediately. You have 48 hours to comply." The Korvax response was predictable. They attacked. Their full force, hundreds of their most powerful ships, hit the human defensive line with everything they had. The battle lasted 4 hours. The quantum weapons that destroyed Council ships were useless against human shields. The adaptive technology humans had developed countered every Korvax advantage. Their regenerating hulls couldn't keep up with human precision strikes. Their shared consciousness became a weakness when human electronic warfare disrupted their coordination. The Korvax fleet was destroyed. Not disabled, destroyed. For the first time, humanity showed what they could do when they truly fought. It was terrifying and absolute. When it was over, Admiral Park broadcast another message, this one to the surviving Korvax ships. "You were warned. You chose war. This is the consequence. Withdraw now or we will advance into your territory." "You do not want that," the Korvax withdrew. For the first time in their collective memory, they had been defeated completely. They retreated to their home systems and sued for peace. Humanity didn't pursue them, didn't seek revenge. Instead, Ambassador Kim, now 73 years old, negotiated with them. A peace treaty was established. The Korvax would withdraw from all conquered territory. They would pay reparations to the affected species. They would agree to human monitoring of their space for the next century. The terms were strict but fair. The Korvax accepted. They had learned what the Council learned, that humanity's patience shouldn't be mistaken for weakness. The Council was saved, again, by the species they had dismissed and driven away. HFY requested one final meeting with Ambassador Kim. He expected to be refused. Instead, Kim agreed. The hologram appeared in the council chamber one last time. Kim looked old now. His hair was white. His face was lined with age, but his eyes were still sharp and kind. "Thank you," HFY said simply. "You saved us again, even after everything we did to you." Kim smiled gently. "We didn't do it for you, old friend. We did it because it was right. Because innocent beings were suffering. Because we could help. That's who we are. That's who we've always been. Will you return to us now?" HFY asked, though he already knew the answer. "No," Kim said softly. "But we will establish an embassy, a neutral ground where we can meet as equals. We will trade with those who trade fairly. We will share knowledge with those who share in return. We will cooperate with those who cooperate with us. On our terms. As partners, not subordinates." He paused, then continued. "The measure of civilization is not how you treat the powerful. It's how you treat those you think are beneath you. The Council failed that test badly, but perhaps you've learned. Perhaps your children will be wiser than you were. We will forge our own path now. We will defend this region of space as stewards, not conquerors. We will build our future without seeking your approval. And perhaps one day we can truly be partners. Not out of need, out of respect." HFY bowed deeply. "I hope I live to see that day." "So do I, old friend," Kim replied. "So do I." The hologram faded for the last time. 50 years later, a new generation governed both humanity and the Council. The galaxy had changed. The Council had reformed completely, implementing equal representation and fair treatment for all species. Lessons learned too late from humanity's departure. A young human diplomat named Daehyun Shin stood before the Council. He was 30 years old, the great-grandson of Ambassador Taemin Kim. He had his great-grandfather's kind eyes and steady bearing. He wasn't there to ask for humanity to rejoin. He was there to establish a permanent embassy, a place where humans and the Council could meet as true equals, a bridge between two civilizations that had learned hard lessons. An ancient Velthorian counselor greeted him. It was HFY's great-grandson Kelvin. He had inherited his ancestors' wisdom and regret. "Welcome, Ambassador Shin," Kelvin said warmly. "Your great-grandfather would be proud." Daehyun smiled. "He taught me many things, but the most important was this. That civilization is measured by how we treat those we think are beneath us. The Council failed that test once. Let's make sure it never happens again." The embassy was established, not as a reunion but as a new beginning. Humanity remained independent, self-sufficient, and strong, but no longer isolated. They engaged with the galaxy on their terms, as equals, as partners, as respected members of a civilization that finally learned the cost of arrogance. In the quiet of space, in the territories humanity called home, they continued to build and grow. They remained the stewards of their region, defending it not through conquest but through strength. They traded not as supplicants but as equals. They cooperated not from need but from choice. And across the galaxy, species told stories of the humans who left quietly, who walked away from disrespect, who built something better alone, who returned not for revenge but to save those who had wronged them. The stories became legends. The legends became lessons. And the lessons taught the galaxy something crucial, that sometimes the strongest act is knowing when to walk away. That respect cannot be demanded, only earned. That true strength shows itself not in domination, but in the choice to help those who need it, even those who wronged you. That humanity's greatest power was never their technology or their military might. It was their dignity, their patience, their unwillingness to compromise their values for acceptance, and their absolute certainty that they didn't need the galaxy's approval to thrive. In the end, the galaxy didn't give humans respect. Humans took it by walking away, by building something better.
B.